If your money doesn't feel real, then pause and ask yourself the following question. Is my relationship to money financially awakened or financially avoidant? Do you have an ascended attitude towards wealth because you've transcended material concerns and you're truly living for the higher things in life? Or have you actually got some family narratives and some old money wounds that are really twisting your relationship to both gaining and preserving your own financial safety? That's what we're going to be exploring in this video. We're going to be breaking down phrases like this one, which inspired today's question of I can just spend money because it will come back to me anyway, or another phrase like, oh, I don't care about money, or even something like easy come, easy go, or money's not meant for me. All of these small money phrases, they represent a spectrum of financial trauma, and I want you to leave this video knowing if you have a financially awakened or financially avoidant relationship to money. Let's start the conversation at the absolute baseline, which is a fundamental recap of financial trauma. We all have money stories that we inherited from our family and from our culture. Maybe you are from a wealthy background, or maybe more towards the poverty line. It doesn't necessarily matter in terms of the broad principle that you've inherited a certain set of beliefs about wealth, how much wealth you should have, how you should go about making wealth, and your overall life trajectory of wealth acquisition. You've got a certain number of stories, and those certain stories, those certain emotional textures wrapped around the concept of money will indicate where you fall on the spectrum of financial avoidance or financial awareness, leading into financial awakening and ultimately financial transcendence. But I'm going to make a very strong point right at the beginning of this video. I'm going to bet that the vast majority of people who are watching this video, and probably yourself, are not truly in the financially awakened, financially abundant, truly transcendent wealth mindset that you might believe that you have. You can't bypass the issue of money. If you want to live out in a commune with a variety of very conscious individuals, or you want to have a very creative life of being a full-time artist, or even have the purposeful career of soul-driven entrepreneurship, or otherwise just have enough to get by for you and your family, you can't avoid the question of money. And there's a huge difference between bypassing the question as opposed to really looking into the shadows of your own wealth story and healing the money wound at its core. Because I've seen so many of these videos on the internet where people are talking about money manifestation and the ways to bring wealth into your life, which are fundamentally fantasy-based. There's something to be said for visioning and having ambition when it comes to seeing more wealth in your personal future. But you shouldn't make that mistake that a lot of people make where they haven't actually looked at the financial avoidance and the old money wounds which are keeping them stuck. Today's questioner asked, they said the phrase of, I can just spend this money because I'll make it back anyway. And isn't that an interesting phrase? I can just spend this money because I'll make it back anyway. Personal example for me in my life in the last few months, I had a moment where I was going to renew my set of sessions for several months in a row for my chiropractic adjustments. I've been getting my spine nicely aligned. I had no major issues before, but I like the feeling of being well stacked and grounded all the way up my vertical column. Besides the point is I had a series of sessions that I wanted to book, and I had a moment inside of me for about 15 seconds of, I don't really need to spend this money on this. It's not essential. It's purely optional. It's not a pain I'm relieving. Do I really need to spend this money? And I said something like, it's okay. I can spend this money because it's all going to come back to me anyway. Because the money's actually coming back to me. I've got a more or less consistent cash flow because I've built a reliable business and I track my finances. I have 6 months of emergency fund. I know how much I'm spending per month, and I have extra savings to then spend on things which are unnecessary, but also quite enjoyable, like high quality food, or maybe certain types of private healthcare, whatever I need to feel optimal to then keep me doing these kinds of videos and showing up for my clients and just enjoying my life. My attitude of, I can just spend this money, I can spend however many hundreds or thousands it was for that particular set of sessions. I can spend that because it's coming back. That's a big difference towards the same phrase of maybe I'm going out on a night out and I spent 150 on something which I then regret in the morning, and I see the notification on my phone. I go, wow, let's just swipe that away. oh, I can just spend it because it'll come back to me. Said under very different contexts, or someone who's got a gambling addiction, they're pulling the slot machine or they're making too many sports bets, oh, I can just spend this because it'll come back to me, and their paycheck's rolling in, but they've actually got thousands and thousands in unresolved debt. The same phrase can mean many different things. Another phrase, for example, like, money's not important to me, or I don't care about money, there is a world of difference, and please don't lie to yourself. Please stop feeding yourself nonsense of repeating the story that you don't care about money. Maybe you don't care directly about seeing figures growing in your bank account, and there can be that dissociative element of technological figures, and it just doesn't feel real. It's not like real money that you're holding. I understand that it's not necessarily the most exciting thing if you're a creative or more conscious person and you feel like you're above money issues. But you've missed an opportunity to really peel back the symbolic significance of money and see it as a source of power. And if you understand healthy power and you understand how to use your power in a kingly or queenly way to benefit your life, the lives of those who you keep close to you, and the lives of the wider community that you seek to serve, money's very important for your vision. You're not going to be able to truly show up with a healthy body, a healthy mind, and the energy you need every day without the right level of money. And depending on where you live in the world, this can be more of a middle class income. I don't know the exact statistic for your particular place in the world, but there's a comfortable amount of wealth which you can rely upon and will keep you going. And that's very, very, very different from going towards multimillionaire status and chasing material wealth. But don't confuse the two. Don't collapse this superficial, almost comedic cartoon cutout, like driving the sports cars and going on a luxury holiday every month, for caring about money. That's not money. That's superficial, disposable income, conspicuous spending, whatever it might be. My voice is even getting as I'm trying to think about it, because that's a waste of money. But I personally want to earn a lot of money in this life and use it to do things like buy land, start companies, bootstrap charitable operations at some point in my 40s, 50s, or 60s, and be able to use all of that wealth to create more good in the world. I care deeply about money. It's not financial avoidance, it's not financial ascension, it's trying to find myself somewhere in the middle. And when I've worked with clients who are working through their money stories and they give me some variant of the I don't care about money phrase, which interestingly, I suppose at this point in my coaching, because I've increased my prices over the years, when I was at a lower fee, I got that a lot more. Now I'm at the stage of having more of a higher fee. I don't really hear that too often. It's interesting how people who choose to invest in something like therapeutic mentoring don't have that attitude towards money, because they're clearly investing in their own well-being to then further their goals elsewhere, whatever it might be. But at the early stages, when people would have these old money stories of feeling like they're in lack and scarcity, it's very easy to get extreme on either the avoidance or the awakening, but both are bypassing. Both are a different money wound. If you're generally safe, and you've got enough savings, you've sorted out all the practicalities, which I'm not covering in this video, and you have a healthy, grounded, lifelong philosophy towards wealth acquisition and keeping your wealth and investing your wealth in a way that's going to work for you and your family, then you already bring yourself out of the very extreme polarities of avoiding or trying to superficially ascend. Just watch out for the spectrum. It's going to depend on where you are in your journey. There's no particular answer to heal the money wound at the core, because it depends on your family story. If you had a mom who spent way too much, or a dad who spent way too little, maybe you got everything you wanted, or maybe you got nothing you wanted. I can't read that through a lesson like this. But if you apply that awareness, firstly, of, is this story that I have about money my story or my family story? Secondly, if this is my story, or at least it's an internalized family story, do I want to keep the story? And thirdly, if you're trying to change the story, just watch out for the extreme spectrums on either end. You can heal your financial wounds. You just need to stay in the middle ground. Literally stay grounded, stay chiropractically stacked along your spine. Maybe get yourself a chiropractor if that's a symbolic choice of you investing in yourself and investing in your future. You're going to literally invest in your spinal health. Maybe that's something for you. I'm not going to endorse any particular modality. It's just something that I'm experimenting with right now. The point is to try and use your money for growth, but not using it in a way where you're dissociatively or otherwise repressively covering over an old wound, or money becomes this perpetual wound in itself because you're failing to look at the old family story and seeing when you get too extreme. I don't think there's much more I can say for this video. I've covered this topic several times on this channel, and I will just link you over to another money wound video that takes this theme at more of a childhood trauma-based perspective. So if you've enjoyed this, you'll enjoy this one as well. And I'll see you over there.